Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. This evening we have an exemplary father. We will be discussing his search for justice for his son who was murdered in Zion, Illinois, January 24th, 2015. We have with us Mr. Willie Bridgeman, the father of Willie Bridgeman III, and greetings, Mr. Bridgeman.
Thank you, sir.
We're very happy that you've taken time from your busy schedule to be with us. I know these are some challenging times for you. Your son was murdered in Zion, Illinois, and we have a special empathy for him. He was recently graduated from Daisy's Resource Optional School. As a matter of fact, he graduated semester early, graduated December of 2014, and he was raised by the name of Boo Man.
Yeah.
Everybody know him as Boo Man. We only know him as Bridgeman. He lived in North Chicago, attended North Chicago High School, but he was murdered in Zion, Illinois. Tell us, first of all, a little bit about Mr. Willie Bridgeman Sr., and then we'll talk about your involvement with your son.
Well, you know, he's obviously is my firstborn, and he's my namesake.
Okay.
And for me, he was a very, very, very special child. You know, I had the opportunity, you know, when you first become a father to, you know, to grow up, because it helps you grow up when you have someone looking at you and depending on you all the time. Mm-hmm. But to me, he was really a good son. And, you know, as all teenagers, you know, we tend to get into a few things here and there, but he really was a good son. Now, I really didn't have that much problem to him. And towards the end, you know, we went through a few challenging things that we didn't exactly agree about. It was his job to be a child, and it's my job to be his father. And so we never really took the whole father and child thing personal. It's just what we do. He had his role to do, and I had my role to do. My role was to protect him and to make sure he had what he needed and that he grew up to be happy. That's really was all I wanted for my son. And as a father, and you know, as a former teenager myself, I realized that there was always going to be challenge. And, you know, I imagine my father had challenge with me as I had with him. And it was a real devastating loss to me, because as much as he was my son, he was my best friend. Mm-hmm. You know, as we got towards the end, people really didn't see that relationship, but you know, we really, when we got along with ourselves, we just really talked, clown around, and had fun. And I spent most of my time working, working a couple jobs, doing whatever I have to do to try to take care, you know, not only him, but all of my kids. And I truly miss him, and I love him. And I'm here today to make sure that my son get peace. Mm-hmm. Get the peace that he need and deserve. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated you giving me the opportunity to come and sit and talk with you. I have called a lot of media sources, and I have reached out for help, and it's coming up to 8 months here, and I finally got someone who was just willing to sit down and to talk about this devastating epidemic that we have in our community. And so, you know, like I said, once again, it's a devastating loss. This is just not a son. He was my best friend. My son had I have three other siblings that, you know, it was devastating for them as well, mom, families, and friends. You know, when we decide that we're going to take innocent lives from the community, it affects more than just a parent. It affects everybody. One of the things I noticed by going through this whole tragedy is the loss and the pain of other children around about his age. And, you know, as well as other teenagers in my family. One of the things I had to do was to pay close attention to what these young folk was going through. And as I myself was grieving, I realized that they needed help too, and I had to be the one to do that. You know, it's kind of an unfair situation. You put in this situation where you just lost something that you love. And I tell you, Dr. Brooks, it was as if someone went inside of me and ripped something out of me. That's how severe the loss was. And I thank God for, you know, most of all, for coming in and establishing peace with me early, because I don't think I would have been able to stand this on my own. And I thank him for being there with me and leading me through the whole thing here. But now my son was a fun-loving person. You know, I guess he kind of get it from me. We laugh, you know, we dance, we play hard, and we never really take life serious, you know. But I tell you, again, I can't illustrate how devastating of a loss this was for our community. Now, to be honest with you, I could understand if the young man was involved with something and, you know what I mean, and something happened. But for a person to lose their life when they haven't done anything to anyone, to me, is beyond imagination and beyond understanding.
Mr. Bridgeman, your son was had decided that he was going to relocate and be with you too. When you heard about this must have been awful challenging for you.
Well, I tell you, okay, let me give you a brief synopsis of what was going through.
Okay.
Now, my son, after he had graduated from school, he had gotten he got in a little trouble by hanging with his older brother. In other words, you know, he had somehow they had stole a car, to be honest with you, and he ended up going on a ride with them, and that's his first accrement of getting in trouble and everything. So being concerned about that, I came and, you know, they released them to the custody of me, and so I came and he came after he got in trouble to live with me and everything. You know, now me and my son at this point in time, you know, we're not. You know, we're not living together. He had decided that he was going to stay and spend time with his mom and his brother. Now, to the truth is, he has been living with me and my family pretty much all his life, and you know, he wanted to get to know them. And I thought that was an honorable thing. You know, I can't imagine how my life would be without, you know, having my mom and my father there. And no matter how the relationship was, you know, when I look back and I see my mother smile and, you know, and even when my father, he upset with me, and now that I'm a man, you know what I mean? You know, I just thank God for them. And I couldn't imagine that, you know, my son not having the opportunity to know. And, you know, Dr. Brooks, I got 3 sisters, so I don't have a brother, so I don't know nothing about it. And so I was just excited for him to get to know it. For me now, family is very serious business. I was born and raised down south, and you know, I was always taught by my mother and grandmother, grandfathers, aunties, and him the value of family. And I didn't want to take that away from him. And so, you know, he ended up in North Chicago, and so we took him home. So we got out, right out there, you know, I talked to him about, you know, him. I said, listen, baby, all your life you've been my baby. All your life, Daddy took care of things, but you're becoming a man, and the dynamic of our relationship going to change. You're not Daddy's little boy anymore. You're becoming Daddy's young man. So our relationship have to change, and there's certain things that you're going to have to adjust, and there's certain things I'm going to have to adjust. Well, you know, we got on out, we got some application filled out, and he got his first job, and you know, I'm so proud of him and everything, and you know, and so now we come into an issue where, you know, you got to learn how to control your money. You got to, you know, you got to learn how to do things. And with any teenager, you're going to have those pushbacks in the beginning, because now he's used to being with mom. And, mom have a habit sometime of just being nice. You know what I mean? So Daddy's sometimes going to be a little demanding. And it's not that out of hate. It's just, you know, as a African American man myself, I understand the challenge that he was going to face. And you know, we can do a lot in life, Dr. Brooks, but what we can't do is live life for them, and that's scary for a father, because you know you want to control everything sometimes. You know what I mean? Right. And you know, he started working, and now we have a challenge with him working. You know, this is his first job and everything. Now, while he was living in North Chicago, coming into high school, I would come down there to get him and say, baby, it's time for you to get out and start working, and you know, let's get out, let's get looking for some jobs. You know, we took him around and fill out a free application and everything. And you know, okay, now we're coming up to 16. No, you got to get a job now. You know what I mean? You got to get out there every day. And I think sometimes, you know, with our youth today, you know, when I came up, we come up working. We come up doing things, and I think we have a disconnection here with it. So that's a challenge that I had faced with him. So he ended up working up at in Chili's up by me, and you know, it was challenging. You know, the hours, and he told me, he said, Dad, you know. He put him in the dishwasher now. He said, Dad, I'll just get overwhelmed. I said, son, what do you think I've been doing for the last 18 years? I've been overwhelmed the last 18 years. This is what work does, but it's going to help you grow up, and so forth and so on. And so, you know, as all things, the job got slow, and, you know, him being the last person on the pole, they let him go. And that was a devastating blow to him and everything. And even though it happened, you know, I'm still illustrating, so we got to get it back out here. You know, you got to get a job, you know what I mean? I give him a little change and say, hey, you know, I'm going to work, and your only job now is to get out and look for work, you know, and just go out, fill out the application and talk. And, you know, it's challenging because sometimes we don't know how to deal with no. And I try to explain to him that no don't mean just no, it might mean no right now. Because sometimes people might not have the ability to say yes, but that don't mean that they are rejecting you and everything. Well, he got to the point that he ended up coming on back down to North Chicago, and he stayed a little bit lower than what I like. And so I came up here, and we sat down, and we talked for a minute, and he told me, he said, you know, Dad, I have been getting in trouble, and, you know, I want to be able to do this for myself. I want to become a man. You know, the things that we talked about, the things that you did, you know how you did when you got ready to leave your father's house. And, you know, he asked me to grant him that and everything. And, you know, I did. It was hard. I didn't really want him to be down here, but I didn't want to take that moment from him when he's trying to grow. You know, I think when our young men are trying to be men sometime, you know, for me, it was a rite of passage, you know, and I imagine that my father, you know, when I left, and my father, you know, he was really hurt behind it, and it wasn't an insult to him. I'm just trying to find my way. And so when he said that, I kind of thought about myself and him, and, you know, I prayed like crazy, you know, Lord, if you just bless him and keep him, and we can get through this together. And so he ended up staying down here, okay? Now, my birthday was January 21st, and he called me up and he called me old man, and we laughed like crazy about it. I said, "Yeah, I gotta admit, I ain't as young as you no more." And we talked for a moment, and we just kept telling each other how much we love each other, and and if I had really known that had been my last conversation, could imagine about what I would have done. I probably would try to give him another one of my sermons that he tried to dodge, but that's not here nor there. But before I spoke with him on January 24th, I spoke with him a week earlier, and he said, "Dad, I've been out here, I've been doing what you said, and I've been trying to find a job, and I've been trying everything I got." And he said, if it don't work, if I don't get the job that I want by the end of January, then I want to come home. And so I said, "Okay, baby." And I was getting real excited, Dr. Brooke, because I didn't want him out here in the first place. I was ready for him to come back home, but I didn't want him to think that I didn't believe in him, because I didn't want it to be a crutch on him.
Okay.
And everything. So now here we are, a week from him coming home, and us going back and starting finishing what we had started. I get a phone call on January 24th, and he's passed away. Now my whole life's changed. Now when you are the type of person, when you love God with all you have, now this is the type of moment that challenges you to a point that you have to be what you need to be in this moment. But I tell you, I never felt anything like it. I never seen anything like it. And to all the parents who have done this here before me, to all the mothers I have seen cry concerning their kids, I mean, I definitely understand it. Because if you never had lost a child in such a nonsense way, I don't think you can ever understand and imagine. I remember, I was looking at a magazine one day, and I can remember this young lady's picture. I don't even know her name, but she had a daughter who had came up killed, and I believe Reverend Justin Jackson them was having a march, and I seen this lady stand beside this casket with this beautiful overlay on this casket, and she's marching down the street, and I paid, for whatever reason, very close attention to what was in her, what was in her. And just by looking at that picture, I can feel the sense of pride and the sense of I'm just going to get, I'm not going to let them just take everything from me. And when I was going through this situation, I kind of gravitated to that picture, and I kind of draw from her strength, if you would. And so now here we are. I'm in this situation, obviously, that I've never been in before, and I'm on a tremendous pain and stress. Now here's exactly what I'm going through here. It's like I'm fighting three spirits at the same time. I'm fighting depression, I'm fighting to live, and I noticed in that moment my life has changed, and it's never be the same again. I was kind of like my son. We can just get up and just get at it. And now it take energy. It take to start my day and to move on. And so now he's dead. And so I never got a chance to say goodbye. When your loved ones are sick, you get a chance to sometimes sit beside the bed and you be with them and you moan them and all these good things. But now he's gone, and I didn't get an opportunity to nor see, nor hear his voice, or nor let him hear my voice. And I got to now try to maneuver my life and make sure I'm doing the things that I need to do.
Well, you call him Boo Man, right? I guess that's
Boo Man.
Boo Man. That's
Boo Man. It come up from down south. It's stuck with him.
But at the Daisy Resource Optional School, the teachers loved him so much that all of them left school and went to the funeral. He was a great student, you know, didn't give any, I mean, he was just a model student, in other words, you know, and that's really he went. But they say what really impressed them is that you spoke. I guess it sounded like a eulogy you were giving to your son, right?
Well, you know, if I can back a minute, and forgive me if I pause for a minute because it hurts sometime to try to maneuver it, but I think it's necessary. I told my son once, if I pass away, I didn't want him to be worried or troubled. And I told him I expect for him to exemplify courage, be courageous, and to lay his old man down with respect and dignity the way I live. And the little man looked up at me and said, I expect for you to do the same thing with me. Now, I never told anybody that but you, Dr. Brooks, because, you know, we, like I said, we was best friends, and we would have these conversations. You know, my job was to prepare him for, to become an old man.
Right.
Everything else in between, I figured we would always have time to work out.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't feel that it was the responsibility of the minister to tell a story that he didn't know.
Okay.
And the way everything worked out from what I was told, we did everything right. And yeah, I eulogized him, and today I'm still eulogizing him.
Okay.
You see, the young man can't find peace until justice has been reached. You know, we have always been taught to say rest in peace, but I think that makes us feel better. But a soul don't rest as long as they're unrest with any undue business. You know what I'm trying to say here. And so my son, you know, was amazing to me from the day he was born until now. And a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, my son, it was a challenge for him to be in this world. His mom was threatening miscarriage all the time, and I would just pray, lay hands on her stomach, and call that baby to life. And the doctor would come back and say, oh, okay, we're going a little bit further. We're going a little bit further. And that's how I got him here. You know, I tell the story perfect. I prayed him here. And so when he was born, you know, he was born premature. You know, he was a preemie, you know, come out a little early. And here I got this little bitty bundle of joy that looked wrinkled and old. And I'm all excited and nervous. And, you know, his mom made it through the birth and everything. The baby was fine. But for a minute when they pulled him out, he wasn't breathing. And, okay, they got him to breathing. And, you know, it was just a challenge, you know, just to be able to greet this soul and to be able to greet this young man. And so they took him up to the intensive care room for a while, and they put tubes and stuff all down his nose. And Dr. Brooke, I don't know what was harder, looking at the tubes in this kid or lowering him in the ground. I mean, I thought about all that when I was getting ready to cover him up for the last time. And but anyway, to make a long story short, one of the best stories I can ever tell about him, and he used to love to hear me say it, and I'm gonna say it here, and we'll move on to some other things about why I'm here. But the doctor told me, he said, well, he's breathing, we got tubes in him, but everything is dependent on him. And, you know, we just have to play this by ear. And so I had to work the next day, and I got off work, I jumped in the old car, no shower, no nothing. I go straight to the hospital every day because I wanted to see this young man. And when I got there, the nurse and everybody was so excited. Here this little baby had rushed up and pulled the tubes out of his nose, and he was breathing on his own. And until the day that he took his last breath. And yeah, to me, that was the greatest birth story that I'm going to have. Because to me, it was just, after all the praying I did for him, he just decided to live on his own. And that's what he was trying to tell me when he came to North Chicago. Was on his, yeah.
Right.
He said, "Dad, I'm just trying to breathe on my own." And that was part of the his eulogy, part of it and everything.
I was concerned because in most, just about all of the cases, there's always media coverage, but you didn't get any media coverage on your son at all, and I'm wondering, what did you think about that? Did you investigate that to find out why?
Well, I spoke to the chief of police there in Giant, obviously, who made the decision to not inform, and his sentiment was that he thought the case would be over in a matter of 48 hours. We have this wrapped up and move on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what his sentiments. But how I feel about it, okay, here's the fact. You have a young man who was killed right across from an elementary school, and to make that decision not to call and to inform, I think was a very, very poor decision to the fact that, okay, it's one of those things that you think that this is what we would do because, look, we want to solve this right away. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We want to get as much attention on this right away. I can't fathom why that decision was made the way it were. Neither can I fathom a lot of decision was made coming up to this point. Now, I went to the hospital after my son died to, pay my respects, to do a father's prayer over my son, and to do my religious obligation to my son. And they denied me my rights. And when I asked and informed about why would they deny me my rights to see my son, they kind of said it was law. Because I asked the lady, is there a law in place to allow you to do this? Because I have never heard it.
This is your own son.
This is my own son. That's correct. And I asked who identified the body.
Okay.
Okay. And I got pushed around, and I still ain't got a straight answer as to who identified the body. It was just identified as a roundabout way. Now, I never heard of nothing like this before.
And that's 6 months ago.
Right. Right. This is right. I got after this right at the hospital the day he died. Right at it. I got right at it. Asking questions. I got the bump around. I didn't get any answers. Some people didn't call back. I contact the media. I contact everybody I can to try to get people involved, and it was the most horrible thing I ever seen. Now I went back, and now I'm looking at the Illinois State Constitution. Now, as a victim, we have certain rights. We have a right to information. We have a right to be treated with dignity and respect during the whole thing. And I don't understand some of the procedures, maneuvers that was done, and neither do I respect it. And I made that very clear before all the authorities and before everybody else. I never heard to the fact that you shouldn't have the right to identify your son. I do understand that they was trying to preserve as much evidence there was as the case. It's not that I was asking them not to do their job. I really was asking them to let me be a father to my son to the end. And so I don't agree with it. And to the fact of the matter, we're still we're going to challenge a lot of that in court. It is my intention to challenge it in court. I'm gonna just be earnest about it, about my rights and how I was treated.
But the Freedom of Information Act would allow you to get information, right?
That is correct. Okay, now. But think about it this way. Okay, Dr. Brooke, I get a phone call that say my son was dead. Now,
okay,
I never been involved with this level of loss or anything before. So that's a lot of things that I don't know You know, I'm trusting the peoples who's supposed to represent me.
Right.
And now, obviously, when I wasn't getting what I want, I went and learned and started studying on my own and asking questions. And there's been a lot of great people to help me along the way to understand what my rights are. But see, I asked to view my son's body. I did not deny my right, and I made sure that, you know, when they wrote the coroner's report out, they tried to make it seem as if me and his mom identify him, which was not the case. And it belongs to losing my son now, and belongs to knowing that there's a young person out there who have killed him, who's still out on the street. Here I am playing a cat and mouse game with the peoples who's supposed to protect me. You know what I think, Dr. Brooks? I think that when something like this happens, we need a third-party person like a lawyer to come in and let us know what we can do, what we shouldn't do, and how we should go and how we should be treated.
Okay.
Because, you know, I don't know if the authorities are so close to this or so distrusting, but the person who have a loss should have a right to someone to advocate on his behalf and to inform him of some of the things he could do and some of the things that we need to do and some of the options that we have on the table. Now, I had to just go through a lot of things to do simple things up until now to get all this here taken care of and everything. But I am very disappointed in the way that I was treated and the way that my son was treated. And as horrifying as it is for someone to kill him, I am definitely very disappointed about the way that all this went down. You're right, Dr. Brooks. There was no media coverage. I think I went to the police station a day or so after, as I come up here to try to go to the coroner's office and say, hey, you did the autopsy and you cut my son open, you did all this here. I still would like to have the right to view his body. No, you can't do it here either. You got to get the funeral home to take the body. Now, Dr. Brooks, in order to get the funeral home to take the body, right, you have to work out certain details.
Okay.
You know, what are you thinking? What's the cost of the funeral? And then you have to commit now to paying these folks. And, you know, what they was telling me, that I had to come up with at least $6,000 to view my son. Now, you just told me that my son was dead now. And I haven't seen him. I don't know that he's dead. And now you telling me I got to go get a funeral home, and you can't see him until he comes to a funeral home. Dr. Brooks, I think that that's really destroyed something inside of me. And I'm amazed at that. And the reason I'm amazed at it because the Constitution said we have a right to be treated fairly. And to me, that is a very unfair thing to ask another parent to do something that you wouldn't do. And so later on, I kept on calling, and I ended up calling the head guy of Lake County, and he spoke to me, and he said that there really was no law, but, you know, that was their procedures. Well,
the head guy that was at the Lake County prosecutor?
No, that's
state's attorney?
No, that's the state's attorney. That's the head coroner, if I'm saying it correctly. I can't think of his name right now. But he's the head coroner.
The coroner.
Yeah.
Yeah, coroner. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, listen, and he kind of got upset with me because I wouldn't accept his reasoning behind it, because I don't understand. And I said to him, I said, listen, if you had a child, if this was your child, and you get a phone call and he dead for whatever reason, and you come to the hospital to view your son, I can't imagine that you will be okay having an armed guard at the door, all this to keep you from your son. I can't imagine that you'll be okay with that. And you know, he couldn't say anything about it and everything. And to the fact of the matter, if there's no law, we shouldn't be making procedures that breaks constitutionality. We shouldn't be doing that, because the Constitution is the highest law of the land. And the Constitution in Illinois says, again, we have a right to be treated fairly. And we have a right to information. And so I go and I say, okay, after I didn't get no answers from them, Dr. Brooks, I go and I tell them, I want his police records. I want to see what you done that night. What are you doing? Because the information that we have received, I can't understand why charges haven't been made. No, you can't have those until, because it's an active investigation, and you can't have them until the investigation was over. Well, I didn't know nothing about the Freedom of Information Act. I didn't. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't bury kids every day. I mean, I'm not involved in the element of crime that I need to know every aspect of it. I just live my life in a way that, you know, that I don't have this issue. I try to be respectable, responsible, and go on with my life. I mean, I don't live a miserable life, hurting people and things like that. So I didn't know about that. And once again, I think that to deal with this matter and to make it fair for the family, I think once again, I illustrate this once again, that should be a lawyer or somebody with legal status to advocate for us. I believe that now. I mean, I believe that, and I'm gonna stick by that. Okay. And not only that, when they sat down and they talked to us, when I conveyed the way I felt about it, and some of the things in which the officer conducted their business, whether they're a detective or whatever, they seemed to get annoyed and agitated by it. You know what I mean? But that, you know, but once again, the Constitution said I have a right to be treated fairly, to be treated with respect, to be treated with dignity throughout the whole process. I mean, you don't have to like what I said, but you have to respect it. Because here I am, my son is dead, I got no answers, I got no media coverage, I was denied the right to see his body, I got no access to the report, and all you telling me if I'm working on it. I supposed to take your word for it, I'm working on it. There was nothing shown to me that showed me they did X, Y, and Z, anything. But according to the Freedom of Information Act, I have a right to know throughout the whole process. And it just breaks my heart.
It shouldn't have taken 3 months after the murder to get a police report, right? It took about 3 months.
I haven't got the police report.
Well,
I got a coroner's report. It took 3 months for them to come back with the coroner report. It took a very long time for them to come out with the tox report and the autopsy report and the toxicology report. Okay, now they released that to me right away, so I have access to that. But what I don't have access is to how they conducted their business the night before and everything. Okay, now, you know, my son, you know, had made a decision that he was going to, when he made a decision to become a man, that came with, I'm not going to smoke weed anymore, Dad, because he had to admit to it, but he had a problem. I'm going to get past all these things. And, you know, when they found him, Dr. Brooke, they didn't find anything in him. That young man lived up to his obligation that he spoke to me that day. And he was, he did. He was breaking away from it. He was on his way back home. The fact of the matter is that we can't have young folk running around here killing folk for no reason. That is just the fact of the matter. And it's heartbreaking because this young man went back and changed his life, turning his life around, just like we always hope for our kids, and now to be shot and killed is beyond a measure and everything.
I think we probably gonna need a part 2 on this, but I want to get kind of fast forward this, if you don't mind, and talk about the community support. You mentioned that you were kind of shocked that the community had not responded the way they should have.
That is correct, Dr. Brooks. As I said, after not getting any answers, I had gotten involved with my son case. Now, that's a two-party issue there.
Okay, right.
Okay, that's a two-party issue. So I'm just gonna try to get through this.
Make sure we're trying to include it.
Yeah, no. We're gonna get through this here, right quickly here. Okay, now let's say that the night that my son was killed. Now there are several people, like over 30 or so people came forward to give statements. Now that first night.
Okay.
So that's the first issue. But now there is a fraction in the community down there who knew who did it, and it helped some of these kids do certain things. Now, because it was an investigation, I won't go into great details about what about it. But I do know for a fact, because after I didn't get any answers, I made up flyers, and I went down myself personally because I wanted to understand, you know, why my son is dead.
Yeah.
Here we go 6 months later, and I want to know why he dead. I mean, you know, they ain't telling me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the same people who gave statements that night was there. They told me the story as it happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And after hearing some of the stories, it just really turned my stomach why they weren't able to determine what happened. So, like I said, I don't have part of the what they did. I don't have, that's an incomplete part of the police reports. And once I file my papers and get these police reports, then maybe I can make a determination of what happened. But now, okay, here we are now, and you know, you did have some courageous people come forward, and now, you know, you have a problem in the community where these folks thought that they had arrested these people who killed my son, and now they have to come to reality that they got to murder you on the street. You know what I mean? As I'm talking to them, and I'm like, it's heartbreaking to a point that when you do get people to come forward, and we still stall the situation, what you do then is you put their life in danger. And so now I'm faced with a fraction now where since I have been out there, there's a lot of people who want to come forward, but they're afraid. You know what I mean? I mean, I'll tell you what, Dr. Brooke, let's say, you know, you got a family, and if you think that the authorities ain't going to do anything, I mean, you're a courageous man, you probably just do the right thing anyway, but most people can't make that decision.
Now, we had a situation in North Chicago where a young lady got murdered, and the family pursued it until they got a indictment, conviction, and sentencing. I think he got about 80 years or something like that. But the family pursued it and got community support to do it, and that's when I was wanting to know, in Zion, you couldn't get that.
Well, what I first did when everything started happening, one of the first things I done was I reached out to a few organizations, and
the ministers.
I sent word to the ministers, and I had some credible people that sent them was going to pass my numbers on. But to this day, Dr. Brooks, I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anything from them.
Wow.
I was quite surprised when the young man got killed by the police. I was quite surprised to see the reaction of the community when the community knew that this other young man had got killed before. And I think at a point in our life, we have to come to a point now that we can't have a double standard. Now, here this young man was absolutely positively killed for no reason, and I'm telling you right now, Dr. Brooks, when it's all said and done, they found no reason why this young man to be dead. Now, that has been already spoken and clarified right there. No reason why he should be dead. And here we have another young man in the act of committing quite a few felonies, and that's more outpour because the police shot him, and there's just no outcry when another young black man shoot another young black man. I think we have to get to the point. See, this is not about a police. It is not black and white. What it should be about is good and evil. If a person commit an evil act, then the community needs to understand if we don't say anything and don't do anything, we condone this behavior. And in a sense, we allow people to perpetrate these things without going. So I did reach out. You know, I tried to reach out. I didn't have the minister's numbers and things down there, and because of having a lack of resources now to move around, because the funeral cost was so hard and devastating on my financial aspect of it. Just trying to get around, just trying to, you know, stay out there every day became a challenge, and still is. But I did run around. We organized a march. We had our first march back in June here. We had a first march, and you know, and I would say the deputy chief has been a godsend for Zion. He has really been a godsend in helping me and blessing me. Now, I would say that. I don't say that all authorities that I had to have an issue with, because the deputy chief, Kurt Henderson, has been absolutely positively amazing and helping us in any way he can, and that's the honest God truth. So I met another gentleman, I call him Pastor Mike, and he recently just introduced himself to me, and he heard about my story, and so he came forth, and we got to talking, and he's been a blessing in my life all the way. But you know what I believe? I live by a principle. I believe that persistence kills resistance. I believe if you keep going forward, good things going to come. And so just like the other family who stayed out there, this is seemed to be the norm of what I have to do to fight his, to get justice for his case. We just got to get out there, and we're working on now a process of finishing this up and to get this done.
They say the mayor responded to your phone calls?
Well, I called the mayor up one day and I told him my story. He said he was going to call the prosecutor and get back with me, and I never heard from him again. I don't know. He said, I'm going to get back to you either this evening or tomorrow morning, and I simply didn't hear from him again. I don't know if he forgot, but, you know, I can't imagine a father talking to another father about the loss of his son, and that's something you forget right away. I don't know why he didn't call me back, and, you know, at this point, Dr. Brooks, I'm not even going to be concerned about it. I don't know why we had, you know, the media outlets didn't respond to this. Maybe they didn't want to be perceived as, because it was a black-on-black crime, that there was something happened. I don't care about it being a black-on-black crime, a white-on-black crime. Crime is crime. And it doesn't matter who you are. We have to get to the point that we can judge things by the information that we have. Now, I could understood now, having full measure of the case, if that my son was involved in something he shouldn't been, I could have swallowed and went on. But just to go kill someone for no reason, it ain't going to happen today, tomorrow, or yesterday. Because the young man going to have to be brought to justice, and he's going to have to be brought soon. But now I would like to tell you this, Dr. Brooks, before we wrap up here and everything. We are intending to challenge this in court, and we are intending to put our fundraising efforts together to make sure we have the money. The state of Illinois would not provide a victim assistance to challenge any of these allegations of misconduct on their part, you know, the denying of rights and all these things. And we're going to put this together. We'll be announcing it on our website, which is blackprideent.com, or you can find us on our Facebook, the Black Pride ENT page. If you can, you know, ask any questions you want at this point in time. We are not at liberty to hold back anything. We'll answer any question that need to be answered up until now. The fact of the matter, friend, that you can get that call one day. There's another young victim has been killed in Zion, no matter than 2 weeks.
Yes, that was last, we had a community day in North Chicago one Sunday, and they said that, I think that morning, another black kid have been killed. The same as my son. You see, you never know. You can be sitting at your kitchen table and someone kill you. It could be your child. Imagine you being me. Imagine this being your life. Imagine the insult from the start to finish. If I can say anything to you today, it is that we have to come to a realization and about our communities and protecting our kids. And we can no longer lie and hold information about people who threaten our well-being and our children's well-being. This young man who have been killed after my son's life could have been very much saved if we had stepped up and did the right thing. As a father, I'm asking everybody who have information to come forward. Like I said, you can go to our website. You can go to the Zion Police Station. They are more than happy to take a statement. Right now, we have several factions in Zion that are killing our kids, and it's getting to the point that it's almost at a serial rate. You know, these young men are dying, and we have the opportunity to come forward and put these people behind. You know, I look forward to speaking and talking with anyone. Like I said, you can reach me by my website. You can leave me a message. I will respond. If you have any information at blackprideent.com, go to the Justice for Boo Man tab, and we have a place where you can leave information confidentially, or you can go to my website page.
blackprideent.com, and you can leave the same information there, and it goes straight to a place or where it can be used and utilized. Or you can see me personally. Come and speak with me personally concerning it, and we can get this wrapped up. I pray that we all come to an understanding that we need to be safe in our communities. I want to stop and take the time and thank Dr. Brooks for spending time with me today, for having the courage to come up and to let me tell my story and to get us out there. Because truly, if we all work together, we can put all these things behind us. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Brooks and his wife. They had a school for my son after, so he can finish. He just needed 3 credits, and they was going to suspend him indefinitely for a whole year to miss school. And they stepped in once again and provided this young man the 3 credits he needs for him to graduate. And I'm always be grateful and thank you. Until next time, I thank all of you for spending time with us, and may God bless you all.
I know this may be something aside from what we're talking about, but by providing him an opportunity to graduate, the superintendent of schools decided to not to renew our contract for the school and do it internally. So now the school is closed. Now look how many other kids need the service, and they're suspended, expelled, and so forth, and they're just in the street. And I wonder how many others are going to, not like your son, but others are going to be doing things to cause them to be incarcerated. So this is a situation, that community has to come forward and do something.
I believe so, Dr. Brooks. I was heartbroken. I was there the day of the graduation. You'll probably remember me, but I shook your hand and hugged your wife. Okay. But I was absolutely positively heartbroken when I heard the news. You see, we can't never do enough for our kids. Okay. You know what I mean? Fact of the matter is, we live in times where things going to happen. I think we should revisit it. I think we should bring that up on a forum. I think the citizens of North Chicago should. I think we should have a town hall meeting to discuss this here and see what we can do to get this thing reopened and redone. I think we should do that. And so I was heartbroken beside it.
Thank you very much. So if you could only get citizens involved, because just right quickly you mentioned that there were 2 girls that were aware of the situation. They were brought in and questioned by the police and let go.
That is correct.
But it is believed that they know who the people were that was involved with the shooting.
That not only do they know, it's a possibility that they could have. There's a possibility they could have been involved too. But I don't want to get too deep into it because it is an investigation.
There's so much involved.
Yeah, it's so much involved. But that was heartbreaking to me too. I haven't had the privilege to speak to these young ladies because nobody seemed to know where they were. Just for my peace sakes, to try to understand what happened that night and everything. I wanted. Here's a story that you may find interesting. I was passing out flyers this particular day. Right by the unit where my son got killed, and a lady pulled up. She had 2 small kids in the back of her truck, SUV, and I walked up to her and I said, "Excuse me, my name is Mr. Bridgeman, and I'm here looking for information concerning my son, and I have this flyer here. I don't know if you know anything." And right away, she gave me this. I don't want to have anything to do with this. But look, now she didn't say that the words. Her exact words were, "I just moved here, and I don't know anything about it." I said, "Ma'am, that might be very well. You just moved here, but you should know that you have moved into a war zone, and the person who killed my son is still out on the loose. And you see that school that you're waiting to pick your kid up from?" I said, they killed him right in front of that school. Now, I said, what if your kid had been walking out that door? And what if it had been during school time? She grabbed the flyer and went on. I think sometimes we don't think about our kids being in that situation or this being me until it's me, and then when it's me, we want to be mad at the world and everything. Obviously, the community know what happened, and we can solve this case in a matter of days. What it's going to take is pride, integrity, and respect for one another to understand that as all parents, we all bear the right to provide safety for all kids, not just our kids. Mm-hmm. And if our kids out killing folk, then we should be the first. I told my son one time, I said, baby, if you ever kill a man, it's not the police going to get you. It's not their problem going to bring you in. I said, I will come and find you myself and bring you in, because the hardship that you cause on another family would be unfair. As a father, I would not let you get away with that. And the young man who's suspected of killing my son, I called his mom up to have a parent-to-parent conversation with her about the whole thing. And all of a sudden, Dr. Brooks, she got saved. The Holy Ghost was coming in the room and everything, as I'm trying to articulate to this lady about what her son possibly is capable of. It wasn't even a discussion about wanting to have a larger discussion to do it. And I thought that was just heartbreaking, Dr. Brooks. I just thought it was heartbreaking.
Mm. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Mr. Willie Bridgeman, father of Willie Bridgeman III, who was murdered in Zion, Illinois, January 24th, 2015. And he is seeking support from the community to locate the person that was involved in killing his son. He is only a father that is, like any other father, that is searching for justice. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in for a session on Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.